All right, peace, love, and light, fam. I'm not going to wait until the room is full. Hopefully, you can hear me and see me well. Um, I something lit a fire in me regarding something that I heard or saw, rather saw and heard yesterday on social media. So there was this video on Instagram, and there were like 5 to 6 brothers from Haiti who now reside in America. And they were basically saying how, you know, essentially calling so called African Americans lazy and saying that um, there is no reason why they should still be in the low estate that they are in. They mentioned how they migrated here from Haiti, and how they did not speak the language. How one brother talked about how his mother works her ass off and works so hard, and every morning she gets up and she works really hard. He talks about um, someone else in his family who was able to open up a business. And so they have found success in America. And so essentially, if we did it, if though, my mother came here and did it, and my, I think he said it was his uncle or someone came here and they did it, then there is really no excuse for so-called African Americans to also not do the same. So there's a lot wrong in that, and there is a lot of showboating. There's a lot of ignorance, utter ignorance. And so I would think that it was very disappointing that they were really playing in the hands of the divisive tactics again that um, the colonizer has set up, and so let me give a history lesson. You are speaking about a people who you share the gift of melanin with. Okay, you were speaking about a group of people, tribes, and clans who have been perpetually discriminated against, perpetually oppressed, okay, who have had their entire identity stolen and from them and appropriated to other people, and their inheritance given to other people. You're speaking of a people who some were enslaved, okay, who were murdered, lynched, and hung from trees, i.e., Billie Holiday's song Strange Fruit. You're speaking of a people that has been miseducated in the so-called educational system in America. You're speaking of a people that went from slavery, then they went through Jim Crow, which was a whole other 100 years. And then, from there, they still went on, they went from other racial discrimination, like sharecropping, okay? They went to redlining. Redlining is when you withhold resources like loans and insurances and other vital resources from a group of people. So in between that redlining and after the Jim Crow era, they pushed us all into one area, which is called the ghettos. Okay, we were pushed into the ghettos, and then they redlined from there to keep us in those areas and stop us from living in better areas that were occupied by Caucasian people primarily and other groups of people. We still were able to pull ourselves together and build many communities, large communities even. I mean, there were several Black Wall Streets, if you will. There wasn't only just one. You know, there were other areas down in this in Florida and other areas where we had our self-sustaining communities. I mean, we had everything that we needed. So it was like a replica of the nationally or internationally known or globally known Wall Street, Black Wall Street. We had many of those. And what happened to all of our Black Wall Streets? They were burned down. They were bombed. So for this group of brothers of, hey, DC, for this group of brothers from Haiti, that for them to come into the Americas, our land, and disrespect us in a way of saying, in an ignorant way, and saying, oh, we're lazy. Oh, there's no reason why we should still be in this lowest state that we are in. There's just no reason, because see, my mother came here and she didn't speak a lick of English, and she was able to get a job, a good job, and she worked really hard and she's doing well. And when my uncle was able to open up a business, and you know, he's doing well, and so we've come over here and we've done well, and I don't understand, and I don't see a reason why you all too cannot do well. All of the things that I named: slavery, Jim Crow era, the redlining, we had the war on drugs, okay, which was really the war on Black people, where drugs were strategically placed in our community, okay, and our people became hooked on the drugs, if not both selling and using the drugs. And to dismantle some of the groups like the Black Panthers that were protecting the community and educating them about their Second Amendment rights and other constitutional rights. Educating them about who they truly are and their identity. This is why you see, you know, Tupac and his mother and her sister, they all had in Moorish last names. That tells you that they knew who they are, that they knew who they are. Okay, I'm not going to say although Tupac has transcended and his mother has transcended, but they're still here. The energy does not die. So it tells you that they knew that they were from the Americas. So we went through, again, slavery, Jim Crow. We had the 14th Amendment, which was a continuation of slavery. Okay, we had the redlining, where they withheld vital resources and wouldn't give us loans to live in other areas and insurances and things of that nature. We went through that. We had our children and our grandmothers and our mothers and our children. We were in the educational miseducational system. They miseducated us. Continue to perpetrate a lie. Continue to disconnect us, try to disconnect us from our land and our identity. They separated our families. In order for a mother to get financial help, the father could not be in the home. So we went through that. And we still picked ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we created these beautiful, flourishing communities that had all that we ever needed. We said, okay, fine. You know, you're not going to keep us down. Let's get back up. and we built these communities, okay, that had, everything, hospitals and schools and post offices. And I mean, they were just, like I said, self-sustaining little cities. We did that. And what happened? They came and they burned those down. And we still got up again, picked ourselves up by our bootstraps, and continued to press on for our freedom, fighting as best we knew how. And we still do it today, although it's not in the best way. Marching in the streets and pounding the pavement and begging for someone to recognize who you are, the government to recognize who you are, this system that was never built for us to acknowledge who we are, to value our lives. We still to this day fight. And you have the audacity, brothers and sisters from Haiti and other places that you migrate from, whether it's the Caribbean or wherever, you're a melanated person, brother or sister, and you come to the Americas. By the way, you are able to come because of what we set forth. Let's make it very clear. That's why you're even able to come. And you have the audacity to fix your lips and disrespect us in our land and say, oh, there is no reason for you all to still be in the lowest state that you are in. And it still continues today. Just a couple of years ago, there was a lawsuit waged against Wells Fargo and some other institutions where there were discriminatory lending practices going on. And it still happens to this day. Do you know that most of the indigenous people of the land, if they want to open a business, because we're capital light, we don't have a lot of capital, but when they have to put up their home and they borrow against the equity in their house, that's how most of us have or generate the funds for our businesses. Your uncle, brother from Haiti, who was able to come over to America and make a better life for himself, or whose parent was able to, and uncle was able to, and now you are able to. Okay, you need to understand, overstand, and understand that there is a system in place that has perpetually prohibited us from reaching the heights of our white counterparts and other nations. Do you know that when Asians come over to our land in America and other people from the Middle East, do you know that they are given loans to open up businesses? And where do they open them? In our community, which they give nothing back to. And it is our fault for supporting those businesses and giving them our money. But I see an awakening now. But you need to understand that there are systemic reasons as to why we as a whole are still in a low state. They were done, that was done on purpose. Imagine taking the identity away from a people and telling us that we all come from Africa. That's the biggest secret. We didn't all come from Africa. We didn't. And you need to know that Africa is a Johnny-come-lately name. That land that is now called Africa was called many things previously. Our land was called many things previously. That's what they do. They switch the names. They change the names, just like they change our name every 7 to 10 years. Oh, one minute you're Indian. Oh, and then the next minute, you are colored, and then the next minute you are Negro, and then the next minute you're Afro American, then the next minute you're African American, and then then you're Black. I mean, no other people has had this done to them by the government. And everywhere you go, they want to paint us in a dim light, in a derogatory way, and make it seem like all we do is hang out on the corner all day. That's all we do, son, is we hang out on the corner all day with our pants sagging and hanging down. Yeah, and that's all the women do all day is just shake their ass and that's what we do. We do music videos all day long. That's what we do, son. That's what they want you all to believe, that's all that we do. But all people that have eyes to see, you can clearly see the lie. If you just look at the breadcrumbs, that is a lie. We built the Americas. Let's get that very straight. So to call us lazy as a whole and try to paint us in this light of, we don't want to do anything. We have never done anything. For generations upon generations. He also said, and so, you would think that, they would want to correct the generational wrongs, but they don't want to do anything about it. Ignorant lips speak again, as if you know what we're doing in our households. And as if you can't see, because I see a change. I see parents, mothers, and fathers coming together and teaching their children about who they truly are, about their indigenous inheritance and their history and the culture. That's what I see. I see that. Everything is done on social media now. And as they are becoming awakened and enlightened, they're pouring that into their children. And I see it. And do you know what it takes for a people that has been utterly destroyed, that has been separated from their indigenous identity, to still have the will to continue to get back up and try again? That's what we have done. That's willpower. So I could ask you, brothers of Haiti, right, who spoke so arrogantly and boldly, I could ask you, why couldn't you do in Haiti what you were able to do in America? Why couldn't your mother do in Haiti what she was able to do in America? We could push that right back to you. We could pose that same question right back to you. We can give you that same energy. The audacity. Do you know our history? Do you know our history in the land of America? To have our consciousness lowered to just such a gutter state. That's what happens when you continue to chip away at a people. And that is what they have done consistently and constantly, with their trickery, with their systemic racism. And you fix your lips and you fall into their trap. And you say, oh, we're lazy. There's no reason why. Oh, look at what we've been able to do. Our land is going to be returned back to us. And let me get back to all of us not coming from the land that is now known as Africa. There were several. Did you know there was more than one Ethiopia? There was more than one. It wasn't just the Ethiopia that we know today. There was an Ethiopia of the West. And if you get your hands on writings that came before the 1600s, it tells it all. It tells you exactly how the people looked that were in the lands of America. I know because I have spoken to the griot of my family, and I need to get even more information. I happen to have lineage in the Americas and in Alkebulan. But we didn't all come from there. And there are many clans and tribes that are able to recount their family history in America who never came on anybody's ship, who owned successful trading businesses. Some did come, but not all. That is the biggest secret. When they say, and I had to come and study and read and see these things for myself and put it through my internal filter. Talk to the griot of my family. This is how I've come to know that we did not all come to the Americas on ships. We did not. I can count back 8 generations of my family in America, in the District of Columbia. And I know it goes back way even before that. Once I continue to do the work in putting the puzzle pieces together and continue to put the leaves on the branches. And there are so many that are able to do the same thing. So it is our land that you have migrated to. It is our land that we have shared our milk and honey with you. And all these other nations boldly talk about how they come over to America, how they're able to open up these businesses and they have all of this success. And then, oh, why can't you all do it? Well, that is a good daggone question, because it's not like we haven't tried. And history has shown you what has happened every time that we have pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps and that we have created open businesses and we've created communities that are self-sustaining. You see, they get jealous and they get angry and they become destructive because that is their nature. They don't really want to see us succeed. That scares them. See, the dependency seems to be on us, because if it isn't, why would you destroy our communities? Why would you do it? Why would you burn and bomb our businesses and our communities? Why? If we're over here minding our business, we're successful, we're providing for one another, we're educating our children, we're happy, we're thriving. Why would you feel the need to come and destroy that? Obviously, you're jealous. Obviously, there are some internal insecurities that you need to deal with. So, brothers and sisters, whether you're coming from Haiti, whether you're coming from Jamaica, wherever you're coming from, and you're coming over into the land of America, please make sure you do your due diligence and find out about the history of the indigenous people that look like you. Find out their history in that land before you open your mouth against them and make an ignorant ass generalization about, why are they still in this lower state? There is no reason for this. I want to know what you checked when you came over. What did you check, brothers from Haiti? Did you come over here seeking asylum? Because there are certain programs that provide certain benefits when you come over here when you come to the Americas seeking asylum. When you come over just as an immigrant status, period. I don't see brothers and sisters who have migrated, made the choice to migrate from Alkebulan to the Americas. I don't see them being struck down like dogs. Not to say that it ain't never happened, but I'm talking about the majority. They know the difference. And apparently, the brothers and sisters who migrate here from Africa know too. I grew up in a multicultural neighborhood around Latinos, and in a lot of areas that brothers and sisters who migrate from Africa, they like to live amongst each other. Like, if you've ever been to like Maryland, Silver Spring, Maryland, if anybody here if you've ever been to Silver Spring, Maryland, what group of people, melanated people, heavily flock to that area? If you know, it's our Ethiopian sisters and brothers. There are certain areas in the Americas. The same thing with our Latinos. They live amongst each other in certain areas. And again, the thing is, I don't have a problem with that. We will, as you can see, we welcome everybody. We've always had a Pan-African mindset since I was a little girl. Even the generation prior to me and the one prior to that, we've always had this Pan-African mindset. We welcome everyone. This is why you see even a Chinatown in most of the states. We welcome everyone, and that has actually been to our detriment. Because just like I said, people come over and they get the benefits that are offered to them under their immigration status, and they open up their businesses and they become very successful, and then they start treating the people of the land like shit. Then they start, speaking about them in a derogatory way. They start feeling themselves. You got the Asians come over, open up their businesses, their nail salons, their carryouts, and whatever else. But then you can't even move an inch without them watching you and lurking behind your back. Because again, of the way that we are portrayed. So that has burned a negative image in their minds about us. And they come over with that negative image burned and ingrained in their mind. And that is the result. They follow us around the damn store like we're going to steal any and everything. We give them the money to send their children to these Ivy League universities, and they do nothing for our community but abuse us. And are we partially to blame? Yes. Because none of them should be in business if they don't know how to respect us. So yes, we are partially to blame. But don't get ahead of yourself and forget about the systemic racism and forget about the perpetual trauma and abuse that we have endured. And don't make it seem like we haven't continuously gotten ourselves up, brushed ourselves off, and gone after it again. Because we have. Do you know what kind of power it takes to do that? You need to watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. We want to see you. We understand even the trauma that has gone on with you in Haiti. We understand. We overstand and we understand. And we are with you. We want you to have your sovereignty back and we want you to be able to thrive in your land. That's what we want. That's what we want. And we are here to welcome you as long as you're respectful to our land so you can get yourself together enough so that you can go back to Haiti and be successful and thrive and be healthy. That is what I would want for you all. The audacity. Do you know about the millions of melanated women who have held down the entire family unit by herself? She does it every day. You're looking at one. Someone who worked 2 full-time jobs and went to 2 schools full-time while being a full-time mother. That was me. I saw my mother do the same thing. Her mother. And it's not something that we want to do. It is extremely stressful, but we did it nonetheless. It's what we had to do. So, brother, your mother from Haiti is not the only woman, okay, who's working her ass off, like you said, every day. There are women that get up at the crack of dawn every single day. Indigenous women, the women who are indigenous to America, they get up at the crack of dawn every day. They get themselves together. They get their child or children together and ready for school. They take them to school. They go to work all day and come back, pick the children up, have dinner, have some family time, and turn around and do it all over again. Your mother ain't the only one. She's not the only one. But that's not success, not in my eyes. Success is not working on another plantation, a corporate or private plantation. That's not success. Working your ass off, selling your time for pennies. That's not success, my brother from Haiti. You don't even know what success is. That's not success. Success is when you can provide for yourself. Success is first knowing who you are. And you all have been able to keep a sense of who you are. You had that advantage over us. Again, our whole identity was stolen from us. We were separated and told and given other names. Told that we came from other lands when all along they knew that we came from this land. In comes Social Security cards. In comes birth certificates. These bonds that they make money off of. They create a fictitious person off of us from birth. Not to mention taking a stamp of our footprints, okay? Which contracts us to the corporation before our feet hit the ground, our ground that the land that we own. So we're doing a corporeal foot stamp. In case you don't know, that's what that is when they fingerprint or footprint your children when they come out of the womb. This is the trickery that we're up against. These are the things that they do behind our backs or really in our face, but us not knowing what it is. You know, the symbology, we don't know. We didn't know in the past. Oh, but it's a new day. And what I think is this, because I can tell you this, when I was over in Alkebulan, my speech was always for the upliftment of my brothers and sisters. So I tried to teach them universal law, whether they saw it that way or not. That's what I was teaching them. So when I said, you have no charity, brothers and sisters, there is a universal law that there is there's a reaction to every action. Even in the Bible that you read every Sunday, those that are Christians in the land, it tells you that you shall reap what you have sown. So if you don't sow any charity, brothers and sisters, your sister would like to know, how do you expect to receive it? How do you expect for charity to be returned unto you if you have not sown it? I'm trying to teach you universal law that will get you out of your low estate, because I want to see you out of your low estate. That makes me happy. It wasn't to put you down. It wasn't to embarrass you. Now, do we have some people in the Americas that are just plain lazy? Absolutely. I will be the first to say it. But that's not unique to us, for that exists in all nations. But I'm talking about the majority. And I am talking about the purposeful assassination of our identity in the minds of the masses everywhere on this planet. There's always a derogatory name that they have just for us. There's always side eyes that they give or they reserve just for us. Even when we come amongst those that share the gift of melanin, it's that same dirty, ingrained, derogatory image that you all have in your minds concerning us. And we have to fight against that constantly. Constantly. Now, what happens? Because let me tell you something, our land is being returned back to us. Okay? The age of Aquarius has been so beautiful. The truth is going to continue to come out. And it's undeniable. And it stands alone. And some people, they're going to be given eviction notices. Okay? So what happens if we say, oh, well, we're closing our doors? Like, you have to go. You can't come into our land anymore. What happens if we no longer share our milk and honey with you? Since you see us in such a dirty, derogatory way, why should we continue to share our milk and honey with you? But we've always been welcoming. We know that you are also cosmic citizens. So we will want to keep a healthy rapport, a respectable rapport. So I'm telling you, brothers and sisters who come to the Americas, have some respect. Learn our history within that land. Know what we've gone through and what we've come through before you wrongfully assume that we're just choosing, or we have chosen for generation after generation to continue to stay in a lower state. Of course, some of us are extremely successful, but you can never, even if you have all the millions and billions in the world, you cannot rise above the status of your people as a whole. You can't. So I just thought it was so disrespectful. You know, we have love for you. We're glad that you're able to come over to America and have a better life. Because we could say the same thing. Why you're not over there fighting, you know, the battle of Haiti with France and still paying, you know, reparations to the colonizer. You know, you have some things that you need to clean up in your own land and lands as well. Likewise, we do. But respect the fact that we allow you to come over and share in our milk and our honey. And we welcome you. And we hope that you will welcome us. Let's be more intelligent and more wise about what we say about one another and how we treat one another. First, educate yourself before you make a comment about the status of the indigenous people of America. And they look like me. They look like me. You need to understand that those that they show in all the museums and in all the documentaries, the mongoloid looking ones that came from the Bering Straits, that procreated with the indigenous people of the land. And that is how you got the so-called Native American. That's been well documented, and you can actually see it. There is a gentleman, I can't remember his name, but I'm going to drop it in the link. In the comments. I think he was from Japan, if I'm not mistaken, but I know he was of Asian descent. And I think he was either a microbiologist or he was a geneticist, either one, right? And he shared, and you all may have seen this on social media, because he did an experiment on zebrafish. And the conclusion of his experiment allowed him to know that he and everyone else who are of a lighter hue are a mutation of heavily melanated people, us. We are the foundation. And this has nothing to do with racism. This has nothing to do with, you know, being arrogant, but it is what it is. That's what it is. When the explorers came, many of them came, not just Christopher Columbus. And by the way, he was a man of color. If you don't know, there's such a trick bag. I need to do this in such a trick bag. They have painted these men in white face. But they were not, because white back then had nothing to do with the skin color, but had everything to do with your status. So there were men who were melanated that were white men according to their status. Get Black's Law Dictionary. So before you open your mouth to speak against the indigenous people of the land, of the Americas, a land that has welcomed you and many other nations and have allowed you to partake of our milk and honey, make sure that you educate yourself about their history, their treatment, their disenfranchisement, their oppression, the suppression of their identity, the thievery of their identity, the thievery of their land, the misappropriation of their culture. Make sure you understand what they have gone through and what they have overcome Because if you truly knew what they have gone through and what they have overcome, you would not be making a comment of slight, but it would be a comment of praise that we are still standing today, trying to put ourselves back together again. We respect you, and that should be reciprocated. And we're not asking for it, we're demanding it. You say this, but many African American men marry European women to escape poverty, and their situations. And what's the point, DC, as it relates to what I'm talking about? Help me to understand. That's still, again, that is still a systematic trick bag that our people continue to fall for. That has been happening. I had it happen in my family. If you don't know, my grandfather is Wallace Hakuna Johnson from Sierra Leone. He is the one on the 2000 Sierra Leonean bill. Now, I had to research, and I read a book called Great Men of Color. And in there, I learned that he was related to King Jaja of the Opobo Kingdom of Nigeria. He got caught up with Queen Victoria, and he was later poisoned. This is something that, again, it was done for multiple reasons, for political reasons, ignorant reasons. I mean, it's done for many reasons, but it's still a trick bag that we continue to fall for. But that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, and that's what I'm trying to understand. What when you made that comment, what was that in reference to, DC? Please help me. But yes, our men continue to marry European women, but our women continue to marry European men. It is their choice. They have free will. You know, is it beneficial? Of course it wouldn't be beneficial, you know, but it is something that they will continue to do. Our people are going to continue to do what they want to do, you know. There is no better job than being a wife and a mother, not selling your time or money. Facts. Tell it, sister. African Starship, welcome, welcome. Yes, that is not success. And he said it so boldly. Oh, you know, my mother, she, and he was like, I have to, you guys have to like search for that video, because I thought I saved it and now it's gone. And now I searched all over, up and down my timeline on IG for it, and I cannot find it. But it was like a group of, like I said, maybe like 4 to 5, maybe 6 brothers from Haiti who migrated here. And they were just talking big ish, like beating on their chest, and nigga, this and that. I mean, get it, work hard, nigga, and this and that. I mean, really, this is how they were speaking, all the while sounding very American, looking and dressing, you know, very American-like, you know. And that was so funny. I mean, the accent and all, you know, all of that. And again, I understand when you growing up around us, you know, we're the salt of the earth. You grow up in our neighborhoods, like that swag is gonna, like, it's definitely going to hit you, you know. So I understand it. I have a problem with that, but it's the audaciousness. It is the boldness of speaking so profoundly ignorant about a people that clearly you don't have a clue about, but yet you're in their land, sharing in their milk and honey. The audacity. The audacity. And then talking about your mother was able to be successful. Successful where? And I can understand you're coming from a place of severe, if you know your mother came from a place of severe impoverishment, and now she's at a point where she's financially stable and she's able to care for herself and her family. Yeah, that may be that may be seen as an accomplishment, but in the bigger scheme of things, for beings that are indigenous to this entire planet, that were created sovereign, that were given their portion, that come from great kingdoms, you know, and empires, and you're talking about, you know, my mother works very hard and she goes to work every morning and works her butt off for that itty bitty check that I'm sure that they give her. I don't care how much it is. It's fiat currency. It's dead. It's not money. That's first of all. It is called fiat currency. Our money was stolen, the gold and the silver. So you can miss me with the fiat currency. Yes, it has its place. We can use it to acquire the things that we need in this time and this moment. But it is most certainly not money, which is what we had previously. So I don't see that as success when you're still on the new age plantation. Pardon me. Oh no, please don't. That's all I had to say. I was actually going to do a video about all my favorite restaurants, right? And I still may do it after this. But like when I heard that, you know, I'm not one. I try to be extremely balanced, and I'm not one to shun the truth. So if he was saying something that was on the foundation of truth, I would be willing to accept that. Are there some people in our nation, like I said, that are utterly lazy and hell-bent on doing nothing? Yes, absolutely. But there are more of us that are getting up off of our behinds, and we're still fighting for our freedom. We're fighting for our sovereignty. We're fighting to be restored. We are educating ourselves instead of looking outside of ourselves and looking at other people's the colonizers' story and narrative about, you know, who we are and where we come from and what we're all about. We're no longer depending on the colonizer. We are going within ourselves. We are searching, we are seeking, and we're finding, we're knocking, and so many doors are being opened for us. This is where we are. This is where we are. We're educating our children. I think this pandemic, it's been a hell of a roller coaster, but there has been some good to come out of it to those that are willing to embrace it. It has brought so many families together. I would say over 60% of our time as parents were being spent outside of our homes. And so our children, were they really being reared? No. Because we really weren't spending time with them because we were on the damn plantation. That's the truth. So now this pandemic has allowed us to be home because a lot of people are able to work remotely now, or you've got so many that have said, I'm out, I'm done. I'm not working anymore. I quit. But I quit. and they're spending time with their families. They're brainstorming, and they're putting their heads and their ideas together. They're creating micro communities and self-sustaining communities. They are living a minimalistic lifestyle. Some are in tiny homes. Some are in manufactured homes, and some are actually just like, look, I'm happy in my vehicle. I'm seeing a lot of those stories. That's success when you are detaching your umbilical cord from the system, and from being dependent upon this system. And you're saying, I don't need you or want you anymore. I want my peace. I want my freedom. I want my sovereignty. I want my family. That's what I see when I go onto social media. Now that is what I look for. All the low vibrational crap, you can miss me with that. See, I draw from that in energy. And you got people telling, there's so many that, like I said, that are living in their vehicles, and you have people saying like, oh, you're homeless. Oh, you're not really happy. No, boo, you're not really happy paying that damn high ass rent every month. That's what you know. Okay? Paying all those damn utilities. These people are getting back to their nature. And name means nature. So they're getting back to their true selves. Yeah, they can sleep in a car in nature, wake up to hearing the birds chirp, chirp, chirping, chirp, 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 seeing the sun rise and set, and being able to gaze at the moon and the stars in the sky, and have peace of mind, and not have worry and stress about in the next 29 to 30 days where you're gonna have to pay this high ass rent again and all these utilities again. Yeah, they're even growing plants and herbs in their vehicles so they can feed themselves. They have realized that they actually don't need as much as they thought they did. How about that? That is actual real freedom. And those that are making those smart ass comments about them, thinking that they're hurting somebody's feelings, is actually a reflection about how you feel within, how insecure you are, and how jealous you are that this sister, these brothers that are doing this and coming out of the system and living in their cars and their vans and their tiny homes and all of that, they're doing that, and they're finding their happiness, and you wish that you could do it too, but you don't have the courage to do it. And so now you're talking shit. That's what that is. Okay. Peace and light, Anja, Africa. Good to see you. That part, like strangers in the night. Yes. Okay. And that's how it was in our families. Like, we were barely spending time with one another. So it takes, every time, like I said, I turn on social media, and you guys know I have had a career in HR, and I see it. I've seen it over the past couple of years, and people really are saying, deuces, we're out. Like, we're not working in your system anymore. You have destroyed us enough. You have taken away from our time currency enough, and away from our families enough. You have broken up enough of our families because of the lack of our presence. We're done with that. Okay? Barely knowing each other. Even husbands and wives. I've seen it in families where the mother is working the day shift and daddy works the night shift. Like, barely seeing each other, barely seeing the children and spending time with the children, and knowing what's going on with these star seeds. Sis Tanya Carr, good to see you. Good to see you, my sister. You are so beautiful. Thank you. And so are you. Let the moon move you. Love, blessings, right order, and peace. Thank you so very much. And I send that right back to you, Miss Tanya. It's so beautiful to see you. So that's what I had to say. And I would tell you all, please check your records. No one can tell you who you are but you. You have to seek it. Whether it's you talking, like I said, to the griot of your family or other people in your family who may have knowledge about the family lineage, it is imperative that you have, that you have the conversations with these family members. It's imperative that you time travel. That's a form of time traveling when you're researching your family lineage. That is time traveling. And it is a necessity. So please do it, because that is how you reveal who you truly are. Only you can tell you that. No one else. No one else. Someone telling you that you came off a slave ship. Have you proved that? Have you proved that assertion? And if you haven't, I would implore you to prove it to yourself or disprove it. Don't have anybody separate you from your inheritance. Don't do it. Don't give them that power. Don't. And if you did come over in slavery, who were you before that? Because you were someone and a part of some kingdom, some empire, some clan, some tribe prior to that. You have to do the self-work. Don't let nobody tell you who you are. You tell yourself who you are. And don't let people disenfranchise you from your land in the Americas. You are those people. So I always tell people, be careful what you say. Mind your mind, right? And your tongue, or control your mind and mind your tongue. Control your mind and mind your tongue. Be careful about what you say and what you allow yourself to believe. It's about knowing. You are in the age of knowing. You don't have to believe. You don't have to be convinced. The truth has been here. It's in the earth. Just seek it. Don't say F America. That's the land. That's the earth. Now, the corporation of the US is a whole other thing. Yeah, we don't give a damn about that shit. But honor the land in which you were born in and reared in and on. Honor it. And don't let anybody disenfranchise you from your land, from your heritage, from your culture, from your tribe, from your identity, from what was divinely bestowed onto you by source. Okay? Remember that. So that is all I have to say. I will be doing another live right after this, because those of you who are thinking about taking a trip to Ghana, I neglected to let you know all of my favorite restaurants in Ghana. Also, I may let you know what my favorite restaurants are in Costa Rica, here in Costa Rica. But I definitely wanted to do the one about Ghana, because although we went through a horrible time when we entered into Ghana, being held hostage, we still allowed ourselves to explore the land. And the food, okay, you can really get really fat in Ghana. Okay. And I surely ate, and so did Josiah. So stay tuned if you want to know what my favorite restaurants were in Ghana. All right, you guys. Peace, love, and light.